Hey guys, I'm here to make another quick video on some legal disclosure that I found in Hollywood or music. This instance happens to be, I'm watching the second season of Outlander. This is the third episode, and I've just taken 3 or 4 clips because I found 4 things in this episode that were really interesting. So for those of you coming across my channel, you may not know what I'm talking about. Unless you've studied fully the law, scriptures, and banking and how it relates, and how they have to give us legal disclosure in things such as video games, movies, music, as well as their own law documents, because I believe that they know that everybody's not going to read their legal law documents, so in order to get everyone legal disclosure of what they do, they have to put it into movies and regular media. So that being said,
my grandmother's house in Sussex.
So your grandmother was a historian?
Well, all families recorded the births, deaths, and marriages from the front family Bible.
some of you may or may not know this, but this clip is about how they used to register people, okay? So I always talk about how we used to be under a lawful, we used to be under our own authority until Satan, your adversary, comes in and holds authority over you, or you give over authority to someone else. So the way, and they've done this over thousands, hundreds of years, slowly, right? So I'm showing you what happened here. This clip is, these two are in the 1940s, but he's telling her how in the old days, so it was before that, they used to register a birth in the family Bible. And now that's not the way they do it now. We are born into Admiralty law, which the word sin means unlawful. That's what it means. And the legal system is different than law. Legal is not necessarily lawful. So what they've done is they've tricked us into this legal system, tricked us into identifying as an idol, which is a legal person, which is a fake image of a man, right? Your government ID. And once they can trick you into identifying as that sort of idol, then they feel like they have the legal go-ahead to bank you by that pawn. It's kind of like a Monopoly piece. If they can get you to identify as a legal person, that's in their system, therefore it's under their authority. Therefore they have kind of ownership of it and of you, right? It's all this system, they get you to buy into it, and if you do so, you're kind of under their authority. It's the world, it's their world that they created. It's the cube, right? Okay, so, and Masons know this, squaring the circle. If you're the unbound spirit, you're the which is symbolized by the circle. It's unboundable. You're like a spirit. You can't be bound in this world. The square, though, is boundable. It's under their authority. It's like they created it. So if you identify as something they created, which is their patented legal name, then you're under them. You're under them in authority, and they are over you, which means in a higher position, which means, I mean, you can kind of, that's kind of like heaven. Heaven is in a higher authority, right? If you're in heaven, you're in your own authority. You're up high above, nobody's above you except for God or your maker, right? You're like nature or God, whatever you believe in that we can't see. However, if you make Satan your authority, that is of this world, and then that you're using stuff they created. Okay, so anyway, so this, he's talking about how they used to record live births in the Bible. That was back in the lawful days when that's the way they used to do it. They had you weren't in the legal system necessarily. However, now they have you registering your child in the hospital, and then you directly go right, they give you the last name, and if you study this, you'll see that the women are forced to do this. Like mothers, in order to take their child home from the hospital, they are forced to sign for a birth certificate and go into the legal system, and then they're given the name and the number. The social, you're given your number on the birth certificate, which is written on banker's paper, if you go research that. So this is being born into sin, being born into the legal system. So that was just an interesting thing there that they showed.
This one only goes back 7 generations, but according to this, your beloved husband got his start in 1746 when Jonathan Wolverton Randall
Married Miss Mary Hawkins.
Okay, he just said in 1746 this marriage was registered. So they were doing that in 1746. If you go looking into registries and how they used to register births and deaths before the whole Admiralty legal thing that they do now, it'll lead you right back to the Templars and where all the unlawful stuff started. The thing is, there are people looking into this and studying this and trying to get to the bottom of what they've done here. And they're going to their government and they're going right up, sometimes through England and up into the Catholic Church, trying to get their record of live birth back. And there's all this mysterious cloak and dagger about the whole thing. Like people at the registry don't want to, they shut up, they get kicked out. People don't want to acknowledge it, and there's a bunch of secrecy to it. So there's something going on here that this is where the deception is, and all these agents are hiding things, right? And people in this law movement are trying to figure out what's going on, and they're having trouble getting the original document because a birth certificate is just a copy, like a certificate of a birth of a stock animal, right? It's a copy, and it says on it you're not supposed to use it for ID purposes. And people are going to try and get their original live birth document, and apparently they're housed in the Vatican, and that's where all the mystery comes from, because nobody can ever get the original one. Because I think there's a key there. If you get your hands on the original one, you own yourself again. Because technically, through the papal bulls, the Pope took ownership of all the souls on the land, right? They took ownership of all the land. If you watch my New World Order timeline overview video and my Roman Catholic triple Roman crown video, you'll see where the Pope and the attorneys took ownership of all the souls on the land. So there's something to them holding your your birth record, that there's something where they're claiming ownership over us, right? And that's why they say they own all the land, because in law, if you make a claim, it stands unrebutted until somebody rebuts it. So I think there's something where we are supposed to go and rebut it and get our stuff back, but people are trying to do it, but there's all this secrecy to it that it just makes it almost impossible. But anyway, I just wanted to call attention to this. You can research that on your own.
Ma chère Claire, are you all right?
And there are lots of people in this law movement going to the governments and basically asking them, what does it mean when you give us this registration document and this birth certificate? And so they used to register the marriages in the Bible too, because these are legal contracts. Marriages are legal contracts, and the Bible is like a legal ledger, right? It's a book. It's the Bible. By means two of something, and bulls are wills or covenants, but they're law documents. So it's interesting that they used to record. So you can see how far we've come from the lawful way we're supposed to do things. Like they're registering the legal documents in the Bible on their own without attorneys, and now they're doing it through their hospitals and through the state So if you go to the state registrar, that's where all the births are recorded and registered, and the marriages. So they've combined church and state and totally corrupted everything. So that's just an interesting thing that you can go study on your own, and I wanted to call attention to it. And one more thing, I'm going to try to explain this here. Pretend, okay, before Satan came in and did all this legal crap, we were before the garden. We were just us under God, no other authority, okay? We were free. This is what the story is about. We used to just picture this is what this looked like. No legal system, but only a lawful system where, yes, criminals are held accountable. Don't worry about that. That, you know, if the legal system goes away, there's still the laws, which are if you murder, you need to be removed from doing so. But so picture people without attorneys. You didn't need to hire anyone to interpret laws. Picture you have 10 laws. I'll use the 10 commandments, even though that is still someone else is handing you laws. But still, let's just use those. Those are all the laws. And then you record your birth in the family Bible. You don't need to hire attorneys. You have no people demanding taxes from you. You have to pay this and that. You have to get a license to drive. You have to get a license to fish. Picture all that being gone, and if you labor, you keep all your wages. And then it's suggested for a do-gooding deed, you give 10% tithe to the poor. Okay, it's suggested, still under your own free will, right? And most good people will do that. Or they'll pay to have roads, made, sort of thing. The people will make the roads. All that can exist fine without this whole system, this beast system of demanding taxes and then taking everyone's money and going to war. So picture the old lawful way was they used to record their names in the Bible. There was no recording in the hospital, and then your live birth record goes sent to the Vatican because they own it and all this stuff. But that's all the Satan came in and did this whole deception and tricked the whole world into coming into authority, authority under them. That is what the whole story of the Garden of Eden is. It's the world was created, that world of this whole legal fiction by them. It wasn't the story of the actual world being created. That's not what it's about. It's a legal disclosure book telling you that this whole beast system was created by Satan to get authority over you. Right? Lucifer raises himself above all as he is, as if he's God. That's what they're doing. They're raising themselves by authority over you. That's what it means. So before that, we used to record in the Bible, just a simple recording, no paying of fees, none of that stuff. And people were free. Now, who knows how far it goes back, but there's evidence that it goes way back to ancient Babylon. They've been doing this, psychopaths have been claiming control over other people for, since 6000 BC. So it's time that people finally understand what these scriptures mean. This is what it means. And in order for humanity to be free, you have to understand this. This is why I'm making this video. Anyway, let's continue. Okay, and once you understand this, you'll understand the Exchequer system, and that is the world that they created. And this is the Masonic checkered board floor. This is what it means. This is the game they're playing, and everyone is on the board being moved around, okay? Unless you know this and you can rise above it and say, no, that's not going to be happening to me.
Didn't upset you.
I often must to critique our resources. The king is not inclined to fund another foreign adventure.
I noticed this. It's really interesting. So Jamie here is the Scot, and he's a lord, okay? He's a lord of the land. They even call him Lord Jamie sometimes. And he's sitting down to a game of chess with the finance minister, okay? So this is very interesting because Jamie gives it away right here, how chess has to do with politics, and this has to do with the exchequer, the table, the Masonic black and white table. This is the treasury. It all has to do with banking. So he's sitting down with the finance minister playing chess. Very significant.
But I'm here to play chess, not to debate politics, and I will have you in 3 moves.
What is politics? Put chess on a grand scale.
Okay, did you catch that? So Jamie, the Lord, just said, what is politics if not chess on a grand scale? And that is exactly what it is. You've got the exchequer board, which is the treasury, and on that you have the queen, the king, the knights, and the pawns. Now the word pawn means surety. You can go look that up in an etymology dictionary. And Congress pledged all the citizens in 1933 as sureties against their debt because they went bankrupt in 1933. That's history. Go look into it. Then in the Articles of Confederation, Article number 12, it's banking and legalese language, but you'll see in Article 12 it's only a few sentences long. Go to Avalon Law and look up Articles of Confederation number 12, and it says they pledge all the citizens as surety against the debt. And they pledge that to, like, I guess they're lords in England. I don't know. Somehow England controls the corporation of the United States, right? Because the United States Inc. is just a corporation operating for profit. And so in order to keep operating in Admiralty law, pirating, they had to pledge all the sureties, which are the citizens, against the debt so that they could keep operating.
How long have you been planning that? Since you opened with a Spanish game.
He said, how'd you do that? Since you opened with a Spanish game. You see all the cultures and all the titles everyone takes. Spain, United States, Russia, Canada, Jew, Christian, Islam. All of those are still on top of, and the kings, queens, pawns, their knights. They're all still on top of the exchequer board. Now, if you want to know who the shadow people are who are controlling things, this is what's depicted. If you're in the know of this, you are the chess player. You see that? Even the Queen Elizabeth is still on the exchequer board. She knows this, but she's, why has a lot of power and money, so she's fine with that. But there are people above her controlling things, and that's what this is depicting. It's just you need to study these things. And if you can also study the ancient game of Senat, S-E-N-A-T, which is an old Pharaohs game that the elite used to play. And it's the game of politics. That's why I keep saying to everyone, stop buying into it, because it's all they're doing is shuffling you around the exchequer board, which is the treasury, which means banking you by your name and your number. They're just trafficking you around because you keep playing into their game, calling them Lord, and letting them move you around the board, right? Like, I'm not saying I have the answers for everyone to get out and how we stop this. The only way to stop it is for everyone to resurrect. The body needs to resurrect. That would be the body of Christ, right? Against this. And throw them in the lake of fire. And lake of fire means judgment. They need to be held accountable if they're committing crimes. If you're just letting them traffic you around and they're not, if you have free will, right? We all have free will to do. So if you're letting it happen, there's kind of like, you can't hold someone accountable if you're really letting it happen, but you need to stop and realize it. And we all need to stop and realize it. And then they can be held accountable because people won't stand for it anymore. I hope I explained that well, and I'm really sorry about the crappy quality of this. I'm just trying not to get a copyright strike here. So, okay, let's continue.
I'm going to get you. Check.
Okay, you see Jamie just showed there. I believe that was the bishop. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know chess, but I could look it up, but I'm just trying to get this video out. Also, I forgot to mention the bishops are also on the Exchequer board, and those are very high up. You know how high they are up in the Vatican, right? So even the bishops are on the Exchequer board. So and I believe this is the world they're talking about. Like when you're talking about the playing field, you know, of the world, and this encompasses everything, but it's the world they created. They created through legal process that they own, basically. Not the natural world. If we step out of all of that crap, all the papers and documents and legal crap, you're in reality, right? But this is the world they created. Even the bishop is on there, and I just wanted to mention that the name Archon, a lot of people talk about the Archons in ancient times, you know, they're the reptilians and whatever. Archon is another word for bishop. So you can go look that up in etymology.
The game is yours.
Okay.
All right, and you see what happened there? The Lord just claimed the king. He just said that the king is yours. So the Lord just took the king. And there you go. You played well. This is the game of the elites. They bank. They bank all the pawns and control everything.
You know, James, if you desire my help, it would not be a bad idea to lose a game once in a while.
I respect you too much to allow such a cheap victory.
All right, and then we all know how this works. The Lord goes on to make a political deal with the finance minister. That's how these deals are made.
I give you permission to respect me, yes? Now, how can I be of service? Which would be?
Then Lord Jamie says, let's meet in a whorehouse to discuss this so he can influence the king. And then the guy says, my wife won't like it. And then Jamie says, oh, you won't lie to her. Just tell her you'll be out with me playing chess. And that's exactly what they're doing, politics.
My wife.
She need not know. You can honestly tell her you're simply out with me. Playing chess.
Ah, Madonna.
All right, this next one's kind of interesting. This is just the apothecary owner. So he's basically like the guy, the big pharma guy, you know, the pharmacist of the time. And what was interesting, I noticed, he wears this cloak all the time. And this cloak has a huge all-seeing eye on the left, well, his right breast. And on the other side, there's like a tree, which kind of probably symbolizes the tree of life or the tree of knowledge of good and evil, not sure. And then below it, there's like a big hand on the left. And I was trying to pause it and study his vest, and you know, maybe there's not much to it. But if there's an eye, you kind of want to look at something because, you know, I don't know. Anyway, so the apothecary owner, and I can tie that to, if you're talking about this, you know, if you're looking at the snake symbol, the serpent, and the tree, you can go, it connects to the caduceus, which is the two snakes intertwining up the staff, and that symbolizes the medical industry. And then later on in this clip, this guy talks about how he sells a poison. She's like, why do you have a poison? That doesn't heal anyone. And he says, well, I trick people. There's people come to me, they want to kill someone, and I give them this and actually makes them sick, but it doesn't actually kill them. So, hello, we can't get any more legal disclosure there about the pharmaceutical industry. I give them this, it makes them sick, everyone's happy because they kind of poisoned the person they wanted to get back at, but it doesn't actually kill them. But I guess he means it kills them slowly, right? Our pharmaceuticals today kill us slowly. They don't kill us by taking one pill. But if you take a lot, it's kind of like a slow kill, and they profit off this industry, right? The slow kill industry and lawsuits and all the whole deal of big pharma toxicology, toxic, pills and such. So 42 women die per day of prescription overdoses, what they call overdoses, but it's taking prescription medication in the US alone. 42 women a day in the US alone die from prescription medication. So there you go. The all-seeing eye is on the pharmacy guy here, the apothecary, and that's just a little more legal disclosure for you.
What a pleasure to see you again.
All right, here's a still of a close-up of the vest. Hopefully you can see this. This is definitely Masonic symbols here. We have the all-seeing eye of Lucifer. The word Lucifer stems from lucre, which stands for money. So this is profiting, okay? Definitely. Those who profit probably from things could stand for bank, be connected with banking. There's, looks like a raven or a phoenix or some sort of bird in the tree there with the eye. I'm not sure about that. And then on the right hand side, this is Masonic stuff. We have one cross being the sun, and then the crossbones over that being another sun, but it could be a lesser light of the moon. And then you have the outcome, which is two lights, the sun and the moon. This could stand for duality. It's all Masonic. If you've studied that, the duality of the sun and the moon, the light and the dark, duality. And then under that is the tree, definitely, but I'm not sure about those. They look like coins on the top. I don't know. Without seeing that up close, I can't really tell what it is, but I just put it here for you to see, and drop your comments below if you have any ideas. Okay, and what I think this is depicting the beginning of the world, the garden, right? Where all the deception began, of what I speak of in this video. Lucifer also means light bearer. It means those who hold the light, and those who hold the light are the ones who hold the knowledge. If they hold the knowledge from you, the peasants used to think that was magic. Like they would think science and physics, math, and all that. They didn't understand any of it. They're so kept in the dark. Kept in the dark. See, there's the metaphor right there. Kept in the dark. You don't have the light. You don't have the knowledge. Therefore, it made it easy for these people to rule over them as gods. That is what Lucifer and the self-proclaimed or given status of gods over you are. Also, Lucifer is also the one who, as we see in the disclosure of the show Lucifer, he talks about himself in the show, but he's also the one mandated by God, which can be in you. So the people prop up Lucifer to judge the wicked. This is another very interesting thing. If you watch the show Lucifer, he judges the wicked. He's not necessarily bad. He's the dark side of things, but he's still under God, real God. He's still under the Father. The Father is the Father of us all, the Creator, right? But Lucifer has been given the mandate. He is God's son, just like Jesus is God's son. Same side of the two coins. One judges the wicked. The other side of the coin, Jesus of your walk, gets crucified and then gets born again. So I'm still figuring that one out, but I definitely know they're two sides of the same coin. They're both sons of the Father. But I also wanted to say, with all these Luciferian and Lucifer worshippers, they shouldn't be worshiping Lucifer. That's a fallen angel means fallen means corrupted, and angel means messenger or one who orates. So I think Lucifer is highly tied to the law. It's either the black-robed priests of Baal, who are judges, which are the attorneys sitting on the bench, which means bank in the courts. So Yeah, that's who Lucifer is, because Lucifer has to do with lucre, the money, right? So that, and he raised himself above others as if he's God. So that's what the judges do. They raise themselves above you in the courtroom and judge you. They're as God, as lords. That's what they do. So that's who Lucifer is. It's tied with the law, and it's the judges, the black-robed priests. And they were given by God, us, the people, the good people, mandate to judge the wicked, right? We want them to judge the wicked. However, they've become so corrupted that now they're doing it for money. They sit on the bench, which is the bank, and they get paid every time you run through courts, right? So that's the story of Lucifer falling. Lucifer is a fallen, corrupted angel, orator, one who speaks, one who gives the law, and that's why he's fallen. They've fallen. Lucifer's fallen because they've sold out and they're banking people instead of not taking money for judging the wicked just for pure justice. They do it for the money. That's Lucifer.
Were you always that friendly with your so-called enemies?
So I tried to freeze the coat there for you a little bit. You can see the eye, you can see the tree on the other side, and then you can see the hand with the eye in the middle of it on the bottom of the coat.
Sometimes mutual interests force us to associate with people we do not like or trust. Please, come inside and tell me how can I help you.
So there's the eye right there, very clear. And I'm sorry about the crappy quality of this. I'm just trying not to get a copyright strike. I don't want to play too much of it, but I want to play enough just so you can get the gist of what the message is.
I'm interested in stopping a pregnancy.
I'm done.
Alright, and here's where she talks about the poison, and he explains why he has it in his pharmaceutical shop.
This is poison. I'm not aware of any medicinal uses for monkshood.
No, am I, madame.
Yet you sell it in your shop.
I have it in my shop, where I serve to my customers who, usually in a moment of passion, want to poison their enemies, is bitter cascara.
Alright, if you can catch this, if you can see the legal disclosure here, he says, I don't sell it, I have it in my shop. It's for people when they want to poison their enemies, they come in and use it. And he says that he makes it so that it's not deadly, and so she kind of praises him for being a humanitarian, because they want to come in and poison their enemy and kill them, but he says this will look like it will poison them, but slowly, and it won't really kill them. Now apply this to the pharmaceutical big pharma. That's exactly what they do. They hold these things in there, and it's your choice to come in and use these drugs, right? And but they don't fully kill you. Anyway, it's just, if you get this, then it's just really interesting to see these things portrayed here as legal disclosure.
The effect is most immediate. The stomach seeks to purge itself, and well, you get the idea.
And it makes the enemy suffer visibly, but it doesn't kill them.
Precisely.
And that's it. That's exactly what big pharma drugs do. Most of them, not all of them. Of course, there are some that can save people's lives, but in general, for general malaise and things, that's exactly how it is.
Poison is his hand by now. Everything else is in code.
All right, and this last one is very, very interesting too, okay? So what, and the people who study the music industry and they break down all the Illuminati symbols and stuff in there, and also connect it to the secret societies and the secret services agencies that are tied in with Hollywood. As we all know, Hollywood is tied with CIA. They frequently collaborate to put out propaganda, and I also believe they do send messages through media people and songs. And here, if that's true, it's disclosing it here. They're searching through letters for hidden messages because they're trying to save Scotland from England here. And so they're intercepting letters and they're studying them and they're trying to decipher the codes that they use to communicate. Then his Scot friend here discovers that this music is strange. Why is there music here?
Seal had been removed at least 3 times before I took it off myself.
Yeah, we're not the only ones interested in this, Stuart.
It's music, you dolt.
I know music when I see it. But what's it doing in the letter?
I was trying to puzzle that one out myself.
Song of the...
All right, so they figured out there's something strange about the music being in there because it's a German written song sent from England. So it's strange. So they've started to figure out that there's coding through the music. And if you're new to my channel or you're new to all this, you have to understand that the Masonic orders and secret societies communicate through these things. They communicate through symbols, and they use the music industry and Hollywood to communicate with each other. If you doubt this, go and study CIA codes, color codes, and you'll see things such as green. A celebrity wearing green is a code, and if you remember Angelina Jolie wearing her big green emerald earrings and jewelry to the Oscars, I think it was, that is a huge clue, and it ties in with the CIA. They communicate with each other covertly through this means. And there's other more diabolical ones where they actually use MK Ultra mind control programs on the celebrities so they don't know this is happening, and there makes them easier pawns. It sounds crazy, but they actually do this. If you go and you study this, so until you've studied it, you can't write it off as crazy. And anyway, so for those in the know that already know about this stuff, I'm pointing this out they're giving legal disclosure here that they do this. So you'll see that they've twigged onto this music being encoded, okay? So now you'll know that you're not crazy if you're studying modern day songs and you're seeing coded messages in there that are strange. You can see how the secret societies and Masonic orders or attorneys, bankers communicate with each other and send messages covertly.
The lyrics are about a bonny day in the middle.
Just another code.
Maybe nothing in the code has anything to do with the notes.
Maybe it's not a code. Perhaps some German friend of Charles just sent him a piece of music to enjoy.
Aye. But this message is in German. It was sent from England.
Right, so the guy says, see, maybe it's a code, but maybe not, and maybe it's just a cool piece of music, which a lot of people, I'm sure, say. But if you're in the know, or you delve deeper and you seek the truth, you would understand, no, there is more to it. So just like Jamie here, those of us who are watching know these things.
Almost, but change the key each time.
All right, so they take this coded music to a music reader, and she is indeed able to verify, yes, there is something very strange about this music, and the key is off, and then which enables Jamie to figure out a cipher message that is encrypted into it. And of course, we know people use ciphers and encoded messages to communicate with each other for hundreds, if not thousands of years. So here you go.
Okay. And that's unusual.
Oh, yes. 5 changes in such a short piece, and some changes for no reason whatsoever.
Section. 3 sharps means you take every third letter beginning at the end. It does.
I've successfully concluded negotiations with our 3 partners, all of whom are willing to contribute to our cause.
So the English conspirators are real.
I can guarantee the amount of £40,000 will be made available to you. £40,000.
It's a sizable amount, right enough. But it's not enough to fund an entire war.
And then it's just S.
Aye, 1 letter left over. Signature, I reckon.
Chicks had secret dealings with Dougal for years.
Dougal is a committed Jacobite.
He's playing both sides against the middle.
He may well be hedging his bets for and against us.
Okay, so they figured out the code and they figured out the treachery and how they're the kings and they're communicating with each other. But they've also mentioned here hedging bets and playing both sides of the war. That is even more legal disclosure, because as we know, these people fund all wars. They play both sides of the war. They fund both sides because it's a huge money-making operation and it's a way to cull the populace and make it smaller so they're easier to control. And so if you need to know more about that, watch the movie All Wars Are Bankers' Wars. And then when it talks about hedging bets, that is more banking talk. And these people hedge bets, and there's whole banking processes that go on by banking people's estates by their name and their number. And I won't get into that, but I just wanted to show you guys this legal disclosure. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Leave your comments below. And it was fun analyzing this. So take care, guys. Have a good day.
If we can meet with Sandringham, convince him this is a bad investment. You know what this means? We figured it out. This calls for